Hello, today I'll be showing you how to start up the PMDG 737 NGX from a cold and dark cockpit configuration. Well, first what we want to do is we want to get some electrical power going on the aircraft, so turn on the battery switch, the standby power, turn ground power on the emergency lights. Now I'm going to go down here and test the fire system and cancel it from the main fire warning. Now we go up to the APU generator and start that. It'll take a fair bit of time to start. You can just monitor here going up. Should go up to around 6 and 7 and then drop back down around here when it's ready. Alright, so the APU generator has started, so now we can turn on the APU buses. So now just so we can check if the APU is powering the aircraft, go ahead up here, see that's selected to APU. You can see 29 DC amps for there. Next thing, once the APU generator is set up, we go up to the top here and switch the IRS align switches to the nav mode selector. Alright, so now they are okay, so now that the IRS is aligned, we go down to the FMC, open that up, go to position initialization, go ahead and type in our reference airport, which would be YPAD, Adelaide International. The reference gate is irrelevant, you do not need to put that. Enter our IRS position, copy that down to there. So now, go to the next page, which is the route page. See, Adelaide, our reference airport, is already in the scratch pad. So we put that in the origin. Runway, let's go off runway 23 today. And our destination is Melbourne. We don't have a flight number, so next page would be to enter our route. We are going to be going via the tail and bend departure out of Adelaide. So let's go ahead and find that. Tail and bend 5 Alpha off runway 23. So now that is set up, we go back here, tail and bend 5 Alpha to tail and bend, which is our first route. After that we go Hindi, so let's go ahead and type that in, HINDY, put that in. It's generally the top one, so put that in. After Hindi we're going to Danks, DANKS, put in Danks. After LE, Apple, shove that in there, Apple, then the RB waypoint, ARBEY, excuse me. After RB we go to BOL, which as you can see is right there, and then that is our route. Now if we go activate and click the execute button, so now our route is. Now we go to performance initialization, double click 0 fuel weight, so that will calculate our reserves. This isn't simulated, so you can just go ahead and put in 5's a nice number, and cost index 100. Cruising altitude will be flight level 360, because we are going eastbound, so according to the rules, flight level 360. Now that's calculated, we're in Australia, so our transition altitude will be 10,000 feet. So go ahead and pop that in there. Zoom in a bit for you, so you can see what's going on. Execute that. Go ahead to N1 limit. We got a light aircraft today. We don't have much fuel, so we'll go ahead and select takeoff 2, which will provide 22k of thrust instead of the 26k that the aircraft is capable of. For our takeoff, 737 is generally 5 notches of flaps. Go ahead and calculate that in. Here is our V1, V rotate and V2 speeds. Calculate them in. And that is the FMC setup for the flight. Now what we need to do is go to the overhead panel. Start off by turning the yaw damper on, checking all of these set to normal, set that to auto, and set that normal. Set our fuel for the flight. We want center tanks and all of those tanks. Go ahead and check the voltages of the APU. That's good. Check the cabin utility is on. Go ahead and check that all the guards are closed, that the APU is powering it. Monitor the APU gauge there. Go ahead up here. We don't want any lights. Go ahead and turn the passenger signs on. Make sure the window wipers are set to park. Go ahead, turn the pitot heaters on and do an overheat test. The window heat. Alright, so now put that down, turn that off. Go ahead and turn it back on. Turn off the probe heaters now. So the reason we do that is because they drain a lot of power from the APU, so we'll turn them on once the engines are powering the aircraft. So we move down here, check the anti-ice is off, check the hydraulic pumps, the engine hydraulic pumps are off, and the electric is on. Go ahead, monitor, we don't need that for now, but right now we can go ahead and check the air conditioning. Turn on the recirculation fans, make sure the packs are off, set the isolation valve to turn on engine 1, engine 2 and APU bleed. Go ahead and set our cabin pressurization for the flight, which would be 36,000 feet. 36,000, set the landing altitude once we near the airport. So that is the overhead panel configured. Now we move down here, so just move across. We want to set our minimums to this flight to radio. Because we're in Australia, we'll be using hectopascal as opposed to inches of mercury. So go ahead and set that in for now, which is 1013, which is the standard setting. Go ahead and configure this. Turn on the terrain data so we can see any terrain coming around the aircraft. Set up the MCP. Set the course runway 23 is 222 degrees. Just hold on while I do this. There you go. And we want to set the indicated airspeed hold to V rotate plus 5, which would be 154 knots. Go ahead, 154 knots. There we go, 155 knots, correction. Don't need the heading, and because we're out of Adelaide, our initial climb will be to 8 to avoid terrain. So go ahead, turn the left master's flight director on, turn the co-pilot's flight director on, go ahead and turn the auto throttle on, VNAV and LNAV for the flight. Go ahead and move down here now. We test that all these warning lights are working, hold that down. With the fuel, hold reset and then rate, so our fuel's going to be reset to the counter. Turn the auto brakes to RTO, make sure the flap lever is in line. The flap set to 0 degrees and it's showing 0 degrees. Check the gear has 3 green down, so that is all good. You can check all of these if you would like, and now pretty much check your warning systems at the end, see if you haven't missed anything. Anti-ice, hydraulics and air conditioning all should be illuminated, which they are. Flight continuation and electricity is all illuminated, so pretty much that is your startup procedure for the 737.